Hi, I'm Don from Don Does Stuff. Today we're going to install this Weiser doorknob and lock set into the door here behind me, and most importantly we're going to rekey it to match the door on the rest of the house. So in this case the door did come pre-drilled with holes for the knob mechanism and the plungers here, as well as chiseled out sections on the door edge. It will require me to do that line up on the door frame itself, so we'll get to that in a second. We're going to start with putting the door knobs on, and that should be fairly simple. So there's two sides to the knobs. They go together and they line up, and then there's going to be two screws. The screws always go on the inside of the door, so that somebody can't come along and just unscrew your doorknob. And then there's the mechanism that goes inside there, and you just want to make sure that that plunger is oriented in the right direction and that it actually fits in the chiseled out section. Now in my case it doesn't quite fit. The corners on this piece are square, and the corners on the chiseled out part, actually it's routed out, are rounded, so I'm just going to have to square off that hole so that that fits in there nice and flush. All right. The other thing to check is the depth of that hole. You want to make sure that this part with the kind of D-shaped hole in it is centered in the hole of the knob. In my case, it is not. So there's a little mechanism right here that allows you to make it a little different. Just pull down on both sides and it extends out, and then lock it into place. And now, with any luck, yes, that D-shaped hole is in the center of this hole. All right, so let me square that off, get this set in there, and then we'll attach the doorknob. So one little catch is that the doorknob is, of course, obstructing those holes. So they provide you with an Allen key to remove the doorknob and put that business together, and then put the doorknob back on. So let's start by putting that mechanism in place here. And we're going to use the two small screws that come in this set right here. And they do provide you with all sorts of different screws for different situations. And again, my door is actually pre-drilled, so that makes it very handy, including pilot holes for these screws. Now I'm just using a manual screwdriver. You can use a drill with a drill bit, a driver bit in it if you want to. It is a Phillips head screw. And that goes in like that. Very easy. All right, so next we will take the interior side of that knob, and using the provided Allen key, we're going to loosen off that knob. Like that. The knob comes off, and then you have easy access to the screw holes. So you take the exterior side of your doorknob and put it through the little D-shaped hole there, like that, and the two mounting holes will be visible there. Now this can get a little tricky. So you take your interior side with the knob removed, put it over, you might want to back it off just a little bit. You take these bolts and put them through the hole like that, and if you're lucky they will line up and you can get at least a couple of threads on there, and do the same on the other side. Don't tighten anything until you're sure you have both of them on. There, I think I got it. Yep. Okay, and then take your Phillips screwdriver and tighten them in. Again, don't tighten it all the way. because you might want to just make little adjustments. For example, this is not straight. Okay, and then when it's snug but not super tight, like right about there, then make your final adjustments. Look on both sides, make sure everything's like nicely lined up, and yeah, that looks good. Tighten her down, both screws. Nice. And then you can just test that it actually works, and it does. All right, and then take that knob, put it back on. It only goes on in one it only goes on in one spot. So take that on, turn it to the right spot, and find your Allen key. And then on the side there, take that Allen key. And this is a little tricky because there's not a lot of room. But basically tighten that guy up again. There we go. Yay, it works. So we're going to do the same sort of procedure for the lock set, and then we'll deal with the door frame. So with the lock set, your first step again is to make sure that the mechanism lines up in the center of your hole. In my case, it is not. Now this is a little trickier to do. What you have to do is rotate this piece of the barrel, but you can't do it without this striker being out. So take a screwdriver, just a flathead screwdriver, put it into the D-shaped hole and rotate it so that your deadbolt will come through like that. And then grasping that with one hand, it's nice and sticky with oil. You rotate the whole mechanism until it locks into the longer position, like that. Double check it. And when it's lined up like that, this hole is perfectly in the center of your overall hole. Now, the other thing to make sure of, and I had it wrong, on this thing, it does actually say up on one side. So make sure that that is, yes, that's right, up. So I'm just going to retract that bolt one more time, like that. Makes it easy. And then putting it in the right direction. But before we actually put this in place, we're going to put the two plates into position. So on this, there's two little teeth that stick out. You kind of get this thing to go over it like that, line it up, and then the pretty part of the unit goes over top like that, and they just kind of stick together. And again, making sure that the word up is at the top, which it is. We put that mechanism in place, and only to discover that once again we have to square off those holes. So we'll do that with a chisel, and then we'll try this again. So now that we have square corners on that little section, double checking that up is up, that should just fit in there just nice. And taking the two small screws that came with this part, we'll put that in place. Might actually help to jam something under the door so it doesn't go flying back and forth like it is for me, but it's not really that big a deal. There we go. Paint coming through there. And that will line up just nicely. And now we put the actual lock mechanism in with the part with the key on the outside and the part with the latch on the inside. Now your set might be a double cylinder with a key on both sides, but in my case I just chose this model. You do want to make sure you have all your pieces in place. You've got the key here with its faceplate, this D-shaped shaft coming through, and then all important ring here that goes over top of that to prevent somebody from chiseling their way through the door, I guess. All right, and install it such that the name is up, the Weiser name. Now in my case I have the bolt in, which I recommend. The rounded part of the D is on that side, so you just rotate this little thing here, the shaft, so that the D mechanism is in the right orientation to go through that hole, like that. Should just fit in just beautifully. And then take the other part, the inside mechanism, and again make sure that the bolt holes are roughly in the right spot. Fiddle around with your D so that it fits onto the shaft, and just give it a little try out there. It works smoothly, nice. And to get to the bolts, you have to have that in the upper location. Take one of your bolts, and again, this is kind of tricky because you have to kind of get everything lined up all at the same time. I think it just flipped on me, didn't it? So line that up so that it hits your D. Put this through. It can be a little fiddly just to catch that receiving end of the bolt. Just get a couple of threads on there. Oh, I got it. Amazing. And then grab your second one and do the same on the other side. Once you have it, wow, got both of them first try. And then just like the knob, bring that in until it's reasonably snug but not too tight. Make sure your things are all lined up front on the inside and the outside, and then tighten her down like that. Test it. Beautiful. All right, on to the next step. So our next step is to install the knob striker, and then after that we're going to do the striker for the deadbolt. So to do this, we just close this gently, mark the center point of the plunger like that, and while we're at it, we'll mark the center point of the deadbolt on this up here, and then we can extend that line across here. We're going to put our hole right in the middle of that. So this is a 1-inch hole that we need to put in. So you'll need some sort of a spade drill set to do that. And this particular one has a 1-inch spade drill. So with our spade drill installed in our drill and our center point double checked, we're going to put the pin, the pointy end of that drill bit right on that center point. And drill in. This should be about 1 inch into this frame. Once that's in place, then we put this on. Now, optionally, and I will do this, I'm going to chisel out a little spot on the frame. It looks a little neater. So to do that, again, I line this up with my hole, draw 2 little lines, and then chisel that section out. A sharp knife helps you to get a nice smooth edge there. And then once you have that chiseled out, your faceplate or strike plate will be reasonably flush to that surface. Line up your screws and put her in place. You want to do the doorknob one first, because then it will make it easier to position your deadbolt strike plate. Let's see if it closes. Look at that, it even closes. All right, so we repeat that procedure for the deadbolt strike plate up here. The one difference with the deadbolt is that the deadbolt strike plate is that there are actually 2 holes. You want to make sure your larger screw goes in closest to the center of the door. It's all installed and working, and you can see that it works very easily with the key on that side, and of course there's just the regular latch on the other. But here's the cool thing about Weiser locks is that you can rekey them. The new lock set came with 2 keys, of course, normal. But of course this key doesn't match the Weiser lock that's on the rest of the house, the main house. I would like it to match. And it's incredibly simple. Here's what you do. With your lock set comes this magic little tool. You can also buy this separately, but with every lock set that's marked as having this so-called smart lock feature, it comes with this little key or tool. So what you do is you put your original key in, you turn it so that this tiny little hole is at the top and your deadbolt is in the locked position. So you're halfway across, you push this thing in like that, and your key will come out. Then you take the key that you want it to lock with, which is this one. This is the key for my regular house. You put that in, again, in that horizontal position, and if you listen carefully, when you turn it to the vertical position, there's a little click. That's setting the key to now work, look at that, with this key. So now, instead of having different keys for different locks, I have one key that works for all of them. So easy. It's amazing. This is a great little feature of the Weiser locks. So there we have it, the installation of a doorknob and deadbolt from Weiser, as well as how to very, very easily rekey this deadbolt to match the other keys in your house. It's very cool. If you liked this, please subscribe and hit that bell for notifications. Thanks for watching.